About a month ago now, Guai participated in a local event in Hong Kong where essentially smaller businesses got a chance to gain more exposure. It was basically like a market type of thing. If you don't know, Guai is the only fingerboard shop in Hong Kong, at least that I know of. The scene here is really, really small. I guess there's probably around 30 or 40 of us at most. They're really doing most of the work in terms of creating more of a community and scene here. They have a physical store or workshop type of thing, and that's very rare in fingerboarding as a whole, but in Hong Kong that's even like crazier. I want to make sure that they continue to have that physical space, so yeah, just buy something off of their website. They have actually a ton of stuff in stock that you wouldn't think they have. They have like famous boards, the famous and Fingerboard Connoisseur collab decks. They're in stock there. They also continue to carry things like lab wheels and joy colts, and people don't know that. So I definitely recommend you go onto their site and check out what they have. So the weekend market happened at this building space called The Mills in Tsuen Wan, and I made sure to go on both Saturday and Sunday. For both days, I knew I wanted to go out and make some photos, so I didn't bring my camera to vlog, like I didn't bring this camera. My backpack space was mostly taken up by my other camera and a ton of film, so I couldn't fit this camera in that bag. But I was able to bring my camcorder and of course my trusty iPhone. The event was definitely a lot of fun. Eric decided to participate in this market, I think to support locals, but also for his shop to get more exposure, and for fingerboarding as a whole to get more exposure as well. For those of us who were there to help support, we obviously wanted to help Eric make sales, but for me, I also just wanted people to know more about fingerboarding. For a lot of people, they didn't know what it was in the first place. They would just look at our boards and be like, what is that? On Saturday, so the first day, the booth next to us actually bought a couple of setups, and in a way they were doing extra promo for us because they were doing ollies or learning how to do ollies and shove-its, and that was just really cool to see. In the past, I've uploaded a couple of videos where I go to the shop and I, sesh with a couple of friends. But yeah, it was a great time to sesh and hang out. It was also super cool to show people what fingerboarding was as well. Something I didn't really anticipate was a performative aspect of it all. When we would start seshing or, just doing tricks here and there, people would gather around to watch us. And what was super interesting was they would wait for you to miss a trick before they walked away. So they might see me doing a couple of tray flips and they'll stay for like a solid 2-3 minutes if I continue landing tricks, but the second I miss a trick, they would walk away and stop watching. But yeah, it was almost like we were doing a demo, which was really cool. I think maybe in the future we should organize something like a demo. During the drive home and since the event, I've been really reflecting on what the scene in Hong Kong has been like so far. This year from, last March onwards was the first time I've stayed in Hong Kong for an extended period of time, for more than 3 months since I was 14 years old. You guys obviously know that I went to boarding school like when I was 14, and then I went to university in the States. So the most I would stay in Hong Kong was 3 months or 2 months. But because of that, I was never really able to explore what the fingerboard scene in Hong Kong could be like until now. And to be fair, I don't think Guai has been around that long. I think they've only been around for a year, at most 2 years. To me, I think having a store like Guai will really help elevate the scene. And like I said earlier, they really help create a sense of community. They participate in all these events and things like that, and they really make an effort to try and push fingerboarding out there to try and get more people into the hobby. One thing I think maybe a lot of people in Europe and the States don't really understand, or haven't really thought about at least, is the accessibility of fingerboarding. So not a lot of companies are really that accessible to us. Shipping can be really expensive, at least $10 plus. I've had to pay sometimes like 20 or 25 US dollars just to get a package shipped to me. And that's just for like a fingerboard. If you're thinking of obstacles, that's even more. And because it's harder to purchase anything in the first place, it's really difficult for people to get into the hobby, even if they wanted to, or even if they were curious. Also, the other thing I think as a customer, or from a customer's point of view, is that you're really taking a risk every time, you buy a deck or wheels or whatever. And if you don't like it and you decide to sell it again, the value obviously comes down, but you're probably taking into account the shipping costs as well. So let's say, for example, I buy a deck that is $40, but $60 total shipped because of the $20 shipping cost. If I decide I don't like it and I want to sell it again, I'm gonna have to bring down the money from $60, not 40 or 45 US. So I'm at a huge disadvantage because I'm selling way higher than most other people. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I do think that in itself also factors into why the community here hasn't really developed as much. And one of the biggest factors for whether or not a person gets into a hobby is definitely accessibility. If you don't have access, how are you meant to find out more about the hobby, or even find out about it in the first place? And a shop like Guai's High is offering that accessibility to people. When I went to their shop last year in, I don't remember if it was September or what, they didn't have nearly as much stuff as they do now in stock. Like I said, they have lab wheels, they have joy cuts, they have oaks, they have flat face wheels, they have everything in that shop. I mean, in my previous vlog where I went to the shop, I was able to pick up an arc ramps, which was a dream obstacle for me. And yes, there was added cost, so it was still more expensive than if someone in the States bought it, but it was still cheaper than me having to purchase it directly from arc ramps and ship it to me. Shipping from Europe is still okay and it's manageable, but I think eventually there will come a point where I won't need to buy anything directly from the US if I'm in Hong Kong. So my plan in the future is to go back to the UK and work there and basically settle down there. But I'd really like to help and continue to grow the scene here, locally as much as I can. I know this is more of a stream of consciousness type of video. I haven't really done one of these in a really long time. I just wanted to turn on the camera and talk a little bit about this, also because you guys sometimes ask me what the scene is like here. There will be some fingerboard events coming up in Hong Kong, so if you live here, definitely keep your eyes peeled, and I think Eric is probably going to post about it at some point. But yeah, I really do hope that more and more people become interested in fingerboarding, not just all over the world, but here specifically. You should definitely go and follow Guai's High on Instagram if you haven't already. Something I keep forgetting to ask you guys to do is to subscribe, and comment on these videos. It really helps a ton. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you to Eric, of course, for always giving us a space to hang out and fingerboard. He's usually just, sitting in the corner and making ramps, while me, Natalie, and 2K are just hanging out and fingerboarding for hours. So yeah, I really appreciate that. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.